Yeah. Welcome to Weddings Uncensored, where we drink and talk and drink. I'm Kyle.
And I'm Allie, and we are here breaking down the good, the bad, and the downright crazy of this whole wedding industry. Cheers!
Cheers!
And happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday, isn't it?
And I'm just blowing past your intro snail. This is an extremely exciting Tuesday, an extremely exciting episode that has been months in the making. We have a product we're launching.
Woo!
What's it called?
The ultimate
Best fucking
wedding guide
ever. That is the working title, apparently.
I know.
The Ultimate Wedding Planning Guide by
Yes.
Weddings Uncensored. It's here. It's launched. It's
Wait,
a real thing.
Can you say it one more time? I'm gonna put the words above
The Ultimate Wedding Planning Guide by Weddings Uncensored.
But it's gonna show up here.
It's gonna be cool.
It's gonna be cool.
Yes. It's officially live. It's happening, and this has been something that we've been working on for literally months. So we're super happy about it.
I think it's actually probably been closer to like a year.
Well,
honestly.
since we started the podcast, this has kind of been a thought.
Yes.
And then, probably like the last half of last year, we really kind of started creating
Yes.
it. And it's been a journey. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. Well, it's hard when like we have our full-time jobs and
Well,
full-time lives, and you
Yes.
know, we want to have great businesses outside of that, and we love Weddings Uncensored. So
Totally.
we were like, if we want to keep doing Weddings Uncensored, we got to find a way that we can help couples and make money.
Yeah,
So-
basically. I mean, monetizing podcasts is a real thing, and
yeah.
we love doing this, but like we basically do it out of the goodness of our hearts at this point.
We haven't made a single damn dollar off of this.
So, no, but so that has been a really challenging part of it, is that we're busy and we, you know, love this, but it's hard to find the time to devote. But also, I think because we wanted to put together like a really good quality product.
Yes.
And I mean, there has literally been times where I'm like, this is not good enough. Or you've been like, no, we're not
doing
it.
It's
we're
not
not,
gonna look
we're
this way.
not going to put something up for sale that represents us as wedding professionals, that represents the podcast, that represents so much, if it's not like really fucking good.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like a combined over 15 years of wedding experience.
Yep.
So like we have to make sure that the product that we're providing you guys is like matching that experience.
Exactly.
And providing you that value that we know that we have. So,
Exactly. So literal decades of wedding, planning, vendor experience. And then I think both of us have learned so much by doing this podcast. Together, like learned a lot from each other and learned a lot about kind of as we've, I guess, sort of broken down how to spit out information to you guys, right? Is like how we've kind of translated into this wedding planning worksheet, workbook guide.
Yeah, because I mean, you have a lot of the main knowledge of the wedding industry, but I feel like I'm able to at least bring like creatively, yes, the photo video side.
Yeah.
But I'm also very gullible and I don't know a lot of shit. I'm very gullible and I don't know a lot of shit.
Yeah.
So I trust you to tell me all of these things that I don't know. Like even the last episode that we just did on fucking bar service.
Bar services,
you know, like all of the 11 questions I would have never asked, and we have still been doing this podcast for over a year and a half now.
Yeah.
So
and there's so much that I've learned as a planner from the different guests that we've had on, that I've learned from you. So it's been obviously such a really cool experience. But yeah, I mean, that's been, I think, the biggest thing is like we want to put out a product that's good, that we can stand behind, and that we really feel like will help people. And at the end of the day, we would love to make a little bit of money to help support just us keep doing this.
Yeah.
So it is available now on Etsy.
It's available on Etsy. It's going to be available on our website.
Yeah, and we'll have it linked in our socials and basically everywhere else.
There'll be a link, but as of right now, you can absolutely purchase this on Etsy. There is a timeline version specifically, and there's also the full wedding guide, which has a bunch of tabs that
it's
you
got
can use.
So much information.
So much good stuff that you do need to know, or at least verify if you should know about.
wedding planning. Yeah. And I think that it is really super useful for someone that's at the early stages of their wedding planning journey.
100%.
So if this is something like if you're already deep in your wedding journey, but you have friends or family members that are just starting planning a wedding, this would be a really amazing gift. Because if you're in the middle of it, then like you're in the thick of it and like, you need help and guidance along the way.
Yep.
This is a really good option for someone who's not hiring a full planner. That there's a lot more kind of hand holding and taking the chunks of wedding planning in bite-sized pieces.
Yep.
But if you are into the wedding planning process a little bit, there's still so much value in this workbook and guide to help with the rest of your vendor selection, to help building your timeline, day of packing sheets, so much. So
I would say like if the closest amount of time I would probably suggest, and what do you think? I'd probably say like if you're 3 months or above, it would be good for you to have.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Unless, you could even be closer if you are, feeling like you're still a little disorganized, because this will kind of help you to tie all of the pieces together.
Yep.
So we're really happy about
Yes,
it. It is a guide that what's really, I think, kind of sets it apart is there's templates, there's checklists, there's worksheets, there's, it's definitely something that you and your partner can sit down and work on together.
Yep.
But because of the podcast, we've also brought a lot of like value by linking in specific videos that have to do with each topic.
So like you'll notice once you get the workbook, all of the tabs have a link of some episode or multiple episodes that we've talked about regarding each topic. So we have at least multiple episodes on now bar service, on timelines,
photo video,
even talking with other guests and getting their opinions about these different topics. Those guest videos are also in the workbook.
Yeah.
So like you're getting a tremendous amount of value, but I do think I want to hone in on one specific topic in the workbook that we're super proud of, and then I have to give it all to Allie, is the fucking timeline. The timeline worksheet is sick.
Thank you, because that was something that stressed the fuck out of me. Because obviously, if you've listened to this podcast, you know that this is like so important. As a wedding coordinator, it's literally, that's it. I just make wedding timelines all day, every day. But I'm like, I know how to make a wedding timeline for somebody, but how do I help someone else make a timeline from scratch by themselves?
And who doesn't have any of your knowledge about like how to make a timeline and what goes into a timeline.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's a huge piece of it is the timeline builder, essentially.
Yes,
There's like 3 tabs within the worksheet that all have to do with timeline. So really it's so many of those kinds of important pieces, whether you're early in the process or later.
Yep.
But I think you want to go through like each tab not. We're not going to go at length because it could be a little bit boring.
We'll let you know of like, hey, here are the topics
and
that we talk about.
Yeah, and if you are, again, like if you're in it or if you know someone that is early in the process, like these are the breadth of topics that we will be talking about in this worksheet.
100%.
Yeah.
So the first one is a 12-month checklist.
Yep.
It's pretty self-explanatory. It's what we think you should really kind of have down on your checklist, going down from 1 year or more out from your wedding and having a checklist. I believe we have it at another set of checklists at 9 months, another one at 6 months, another one at 3 months, 2 months, 1 month, couple weeks, day of. So, yeah.
And this is something that we use for Pop the Champagne and our clients. And we've had literally a decade's worth of clients say that this has been super helpful, just kind of breaking the planning down into bite-sized pieces.
Yes, 100%.
The next tab, which I'm also super proud of, is the honing in on your vision.
Yes.
We do have a whole episode on this.
We can talk about it multiple times.
But I love this because it's more about like, instead of just the logistics, it's like, how do we figure out what's important to us?
Yes.
How do we prioritize our budget? How do we decide what we want this to look like, feel like? How do we come together as a couple and make sure that there's some equity in this planning process and, that we're not just coming together with separate ideas? Like this to me is super, super important. And it's something that if you can, you should do with your partner early in the process.
Yep.
But even if you're later in the planning process, honing the vision kind of activity that we have in here
100%.
is super valuable to do with your partner at any time.
Yeah. And the sooner you can do it, the better. And I mean, the idea of sitting together to figure out what are your expectations for your wedding. There is nothing bad that will come from that conversation, talking to your soon-to-be significant other. You know what I'm saying?
Because it's amazing how not on the same page some people are.
Or like you had no idea, or what you thought was super important to them, actually they could give two shits about, whether if it was, I thought he was going to care so much about the DJ. He just wanted fucking churros at the reception.
That was all he cared about.
That's all he cared about. He couldn't give a damn about anything else. So just setting clear expectations, and they always say planning your wedding is like the first trial
of marriage.
And what better way to do that than talking and communicating with each other about your expectations for your wedding? You can't go wrong with that.
We love it.
So the next topic we have budget.
Bitches and budgets. So I'll give Kyle major credit on this tab of the worksheet because it is really helpful. It's very comprehensive, and technologically within the worksheet, it's really helpful because it's like if you plug in numbers into one sheet, it will automatically populate into other sheets if you're, doing vendor hunting, things like that. So the
formatting will stay consistent too, so it's not like one way is one tab and all the other ones are different. No, everything will be synchronized. I'm very clear about like what to touch or what not to touch.
How to make the whole thing work. So it's really functional. But also it's just, it's still wild to me how many clients I talk to that are in the middle of the planning process and still don't know what their budget is, have no idea what averages are, where it's a bad place to start, and it's a really bad place to find yourself close to the finish line and still not having any clear picture on what you're spending, how much you have left, upsetting your partner or your parents or your
in-laws,
savings account or whatever.
Yeah, seriously.
So, budgets are something that is so important, which is why it's very early on in the worksheet. But also after honing your vision, because we do feel like those are very tied in. So
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay, next up we have a guest list tracker, which is again pretty self-explanatory, but it's just a nice organized place for you to keep your guest list, all of their information, their meal selections, all of their contact information, song choices, all that kind of fun stuff.
For the invites, the whole thing.
And then there is also a special column that we have on there for an A list or a B list, because that is something we talk about in a few different episodes. But essentially, you should have an A list, and then you should have some kind of backups for guests. If people are RSVPing no, then you can invite these folks or things like that. So that's the guest list tracker.
The next one is the venue comparison. Now, and you'll notice there's going to be a few other comparison sheets. You can always copy and paste and add more sections, but I think we provided enough for you to fill in on your own that we think is a good enough amount of either venues or other vendors to like really search through to get a good idea and make a good decision.
Correct. So there's like an area for you to write notes and answer questions, but we also have on all of these venue and vendor comparison tabs, like frequently asked questions that you should be asking yourself, to help kind of guide you and keep you on track. So you're not just like showing up to this venue and like, it's beautiful, but like you forgot everything else that you need to consider when you're venue shopping.
Exactly. After the venue comparison, we have rental tips. Another big topic I had no fucking idea about.
I know, and we still need to dig into it deeper on the podcast. We have one great episode with a rental company, but there is so much to say about it. So yeah, we do have some good tips and tricks on things to look at. The timeline is the next big piece. Again, there's actually like 3 different tabs all about timeline. But there's a
reason for the madness though.
Yes, so there's ways to help you build it from scratch. And hopefully, like I said, this was really important to me. So hopefully this is something that will translate into being super helpful for people.
Yes. No, I 100% have utmost confidence in the timeline builder to absolutely help really any couple, any background. any like religious components.
Totally, because
it's very flexible.
We're very aware that there are so many different
Yeah.
types of timelines depending on your.
It's not just a normal 8-hour wedding in Southern California that's outdoors. Like it can be whatever your wedding is. I'm confident that the worksheet will be able to help you make an actual timeline.
He's confident
that you're gonna love.
We guarantee it.
We guarantee it. We guarantee it, or you let us know what we can do to improve on it.
We mostly guarantee it.
But that is another good thing about this worksheet, though, is we obviously welcome any and all feedback. Please let us know if there's something that you think would be more efficient or effective on the workbook. Please send us an email and let us know, because we will absolutely take any and all critiques.
Yep, any and all.
After the timeline sheet, we have the vendor comparison sheets, and we go into topics of the planner, the caterer, the florist, the DJ, photographer, and videographer.
So again, those are like the frequently asked questions that you should be asking those vendors as you're doing it. And then we have like cool little comparison areas where you're able to actually look, okay, we've narrowed it down to 3 DJs. Like what is the prices? What are we, make it really easy for you to hopefully stay on track.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Next up, there is an example shot list in there, which is something that I think we have a whole episode on shot lists as well.
We do.
It's super important that you are being organized with your photo and video expectations, family, all those important shots that you are going to make sure that you want. And we have found that this example list just helps a lot.
Yes, 100%. The next one is stocking the bar.
The bar! Ali's favorite topic.
Yay!
A lot of folks are having to either DIY their bar or hiring a bar service, or, even if you're just selecting from package A, package B, package C at your venue, the bar is important. So we give some tips on how to manage that.
The next one is table and seating assignments,
which is a big one.
It's fairly simple.
Yep.
But it does require a consistent amount of work. You're just going to have to accept that.
Yeah.
Just rip it off like a Band-Aid.
And it's not something that anyone can do for you.
Nope,
Even as a planner, like I can't make your layout for you or your seating assignments for you. Like I'm going to put your old work friend with your uncle, and that's going to be weird. So,
but that makes it even more important of why you should have a sheet dedicated to this.
Yeah.
That way you can always and quickly adjust and make arrangements as need be.
Yep. And it also has some tips and tricks as far as like reminders of like how many people a 60-inch round can fit, how many seats, things like that. So again, you're able to go to this worksheet and hopefully find, reminders and tips along with interactive ways that you're working with your partner to make sure it all gets done.
100%. The next topic we have is tips on tipping.
Oh, of course, the wedding vendors had to include guidance on tipping.
Slide that in on there,
No, it's true. But there's a huge, fact. And you should be tipping your vendors.
Question. Do you like getting bonuses at work?
Yes. Everyone...
Answer,
yes.
Answer is yes. We like getting bonuses too, and the only way we get bonuses is from a tip.
Right.
That's literally it.
So we're giving you some guidance.
Yes.
Tips on tipping, if you will.
And our last sheet
is a packing worksheet, the worksheet among the worksheet.
Yeah.
But basically everything that you will be bringing to the day, whether that's your decor, whether that's personal items. We just made a really nice organized spreadsheet for you to be able to either pass on to your coordinator or whatever friends and family are involved, and make sure you're not forgetting anything, because if there's no list, something is slipping between the cracks. Yes.
Even with a list, you might forget.
Exactly. So, and if you kind of notice, like the way that we sort of ordered these things in the worksheet are relatively like order of not importance, but like chronologically when you should be worrying about these things, right? So packing worksheet is last, because that's probably the last thing you're doing is packing up for the day.
It's like the finish line per se.
The finish line. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
If you're packing, you've probably made it to the finish line.
Yes, exactly. So, but yes, please let us know if you have any critique, feedback, questions.
Yes.
We're here to answer them as quickly as we possibly can.
And we so appreciate your support
Yes.
in purchasing or gifting this to someone that
Yep.
you know that's planning a wedding. We really, truly believe in it. And we love doing this podcast so much. We love our listeners and our viewers. And we hope that this will be a huge value to you.
Yes. Thank you so much, guys.
Cheers.
Peace.